In a story that's sending shockwaves across Europe, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has just entered a Paris jail. Yes, a former head of state behind bars. The news broke earlier today through AFP, and it's already dominating global headlines. Reporters outside the facility described an extraordinary scene. Shouts echoing from inside the prison as inmates called out, "Welcome Sarkozy." The moment felt surreal, almost cinematic, but this is no political drama. It's real, and it's unfolding in the heart of France. Sarkozy, once one of Europe's most influential leaders, is now facing the consequences of a long-running corruption case tied to alleged Libyan funding for his 2007 presidential campaign. For years, he's denied any wrongdoing. But today marks a dramatic turn in his legal saga, one that could permanently reshape how France views its former leaders. The nation watches in disbelief as its ex-president begins a chapter few could have imagined. To truly understand how we got here, let's rewind. Nicolas Sarkozy, who served as France's president from 2007 to 2012, was once a symbol of political energy and ambition. Known for his charisma and decisive style, he built strong alliances on the global stage, from Washington to Berlin. But behind the polished image, investigators began uncovering troubling claims that his 2007 election campaign had received illegal cash contributions from the regime of the late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi. The allegations first surfaced in 2012, just after Sarkozy left office, and since then, they've followed him like a shadow. French prosecutors have spent over a decade piecing together a complex web of transactions, witness accounts, and secret meetings that allegedly point to millions of euros in under-the-table financing. Sarkozy has repeatedly denied everything, calling the accusations politically motivated and baseless. But as the investigation deepened, it became harder to dismiss the mounting evidence and public pressure. The case itself reads like something straight out of a political thriller. Suitcases filled with cash, secret meetings in Tripoli, and shadowy middlemen linking European politics to North African oil money. French investigators claim that during his 2007 campaign, Sarkozy's team accepted up to 50 million euros in illicit funds from Gaddafi's regime, an amount far exceeding France's legal campaign limit. The alleged trail includes testimonies from former Libyan officials, documents, and even financial transfers traced through offshore accounts. Sarkozy has fought every step of the way, appealing decisions, holding press conferences, and insisting he's the victim of judicial harassment. But the courts have been relentless. Earlier this year, after a lengthy trial, he was sentenced to prison, making him the first former French president in modern history to serve time behind bars. And now, what once seemed unthinkable has become reality. Nicolas Sarkozy has entered a Paris correctional facility to begin his sentence under full public scrutiny. As Sarkozy walked into the Paris prison, the atmosphere outside was tense. Dozens of reporters and photographers gathered, trying to catch a glimpse of the once powerful man whose political career had shaped an era. Inside, prisoners reportedly cheered, shouting, "Sarkozy's here," a chilling welcome that captured the surreal gravity of the moment. According to French media, he will be serving part of his sentence in a secure section of the facility, likely under special conditions due to his former status. This isn't Sarkozy's first legal battle either. In 2021, he was convicted of corruption and influence peddling in a separate case involving attempts to bribe a judge. That verdict was upheld on appeal. Yet, despite these convictions, Sarkozy has continued to maintain a strong presence in French politics, even hinting at possible returns. But today, as the prison gates close behind him, the political comeback narrative seems to have met its harshest reality. a fall from power unlike any other in France's recent history. Reactions across France have been mixed: shock, sadness, and for some, a sense of justice finally being served. Supporters of Sarkozy argue that his prosecution has been driven more by politics than facts, portraying him as a victim of an overzealous judiciary. They insist the so-called Libya affair is built on shaky testimonies and inconsistent evidence. But others, including anti-corruption advocates, say this moment represents a turning point for French democracy, a sign that even the most powerful are not above the law. On social media, hashtags like #Sarkozy in prison and #Justice for France trended within hours of the news. Television networks replayed footage of Sarkozy's triumphant campaign rallies from 2007, juxtaposed with today's stark images of his prison entry. It's a powerful reminder of how dramatically fortunes can change in politics. Once celebrated for his energy and charisma, Sarkozy's name now carries the weight of scandal and broken trust in the eyes of many French citizens. Beyond the personal downfall of Nicolas Sarkozy, this case also exposes deeper questions about transparency, campaign financing, and the relationship between Western democracies and authoritarian regimes. The idea that a French presidential campaign could have been bankrolled by Libya, a nation then ruled by Gaddafi, one of the world's most controversial figures, has stirred outrage and disbelief. Investigators believe that secret cash deliveries were funneled through intermediaries connected to both governments, creating an intricate financial trail. Some witnesses described private meetings between Sarkozy and Gaddafi before the 2007 election, allegedly to secure funding in exchange for diplomatic favors. Sarkozy, however, has always dismissed such claims as lies spread by political enemies. Yet his critics argue that France's credibility on the world stage has been tarnished by years of legal drama. With Sarkozy now behind bars, many are calling for deeper reforms to ensure such scandals never happen again in French politics or anywhere else in Europe. Meanwhile, Sarkozy's imprisonment has reignited debate about accountability among world leaders. France has seen former presidents face justice before. Jacques Chirac was convicted of corruption in 2011, but none have actually stepped foot in a cell. That alone makes this case historic. Political analysts say the symbolism is enormous, a message that no leader, regardless of status or legacy, can escape the rule of law. Yet Sarkozy's allies continue to defend him passionately, emphasizing his contributions to France's economy, his handling of international crises, and his leadership during difficult times. Some believe history will eventually judge him more kindly than the courts have. But others argue that today's France is moving into a new era, one that demands integrity and accountability at the highest levels of power. As global media outlets dissect every detail of this story, the world is watching closely, taking note of how France confronts corruption within its own political elite. As night falls over Paris, the weight of the moment sinks in. Outside the prison walls, camera crews pack up and the crowd slowly disperses. But the story of Nicolas Sarkozy's downfall is far from over. Legal experts say he may still appeal certain aspects of his conviction, though the path ahead is uncertain. Inside, the former president reportedly remains calm, even defiant, insisting that he will fight to the end to prove his innocence. For France, however, the significance of this day goes beyond one man's fate. It's a reckoning, a reminder of how fragile power can be, and how accountability, no matter how delayed, can still prevail. The same man who once stood in the Élysée Palace, commanding respect from world leaders, now occupies a prison cell. History will decide whether Nicolas Sarkozy's story becomes a cautionary tale or a symbol of justice served. But for now, one thing is undeniable. France and the world will never forget this moment.